Welcome to the second video of this series, How to Make Your ArcCreate Charts. Today we're going to be introducing to you how to create a new ArcCreate project. We're going to show you how to manage the project settings under the project tab, and we're going to show you a few fundamental tools in the toolbox used to create notes. Without further ado, let's get started. First thing you do is click New. And here are a few things that you should know. First, project file is a file that ends in ARCPORJ. This stores the information about your chart. So when you open something, when you click open, the next time you visit this editor software, it will ask you to open an Arc project file to retrieve your progress. So in the new button, don't have to worry, you're just saving a new Arc project button. And this is basically to select a folder, a desired folder you want to save your Arc project file in. Then comes the chart file. This is, as the name suggests, the chart file. If you played ArcCreate before, there are 5 difficulties. .aff is the suffix for any chart file. Use custom is basically changes the 5 difficulties in drop down to a number. Just remember, 0 is past, 1 is present, 2 is future, 3 is beyond, and 4 is eternal. So enter a number from 0 to 4, and that's basically going to correspond to the difficulty here. Audio. You have to select an OGG file or an WAV file, a WAV file or an OGG file as an audio. Then you input the BPM, and you select your jacket art and background. More to come later. I'll be doing a short demonstration of this. Okay, before I do the demonstration, let me first show you a few things you would need to open a project. You will need a jacket art, a soundtrack, and a background. To open the project, click Project File first. This is to select a folder to save your newly created project file. As you can see here, the folder I've selected is 3/2.highlands, which is exactly the folder I've kept all my stuff in. So I do recommend saving it here because it's gonna be all here if you open the folder. It's gonna be convenient. Then chart file, I usually like to use advanced 2.aff or 3 or 4 depending on which difficulty you're charting in. I want to chart a future difficulty, so 2.aff is perfectly fine for my choice. Audio, go ahead and select it. BPM is 155 for this song. If you want to test your song, that's fine. You can also search it up. For jacket art, just enter it. Background, enter this. Click confirm, and you've created your new project. So then you can see there are lots of things on the sides. It's pretty busy. You have Toolbox, you have a timeline, and you have a tab on the right hand side. Personally, I feel like the most important function is the project tab on the right hand side. And you can see at the top there are actually 5 tabs. There's events, export, remote, and settings. But the most important of them all is project. First, the title. This is the title here. It's synchronized. So let's say if I enter the title of the song in Highlands, it's gonna show up here. Composer is synchronized with this n/a. So if I go ahead and enter the composer's name, which is I think Electronomia and Stale, click enter, it's gonna show up here. Illustrator, this is who made this picture. I'll search it up later and fill this in. Charter is what you want to be called by the community. I usually use logarithmic as my name. You can pick yours. Alias, don't care about this for now, just leave it. Difficulty name, as I've said, I want to make a future chart, so this says future, and the question mark is replace the question mark with a difficulty you want the chart to be in. I'm gonna chart a future 9, so I enter 9 there. Base BPM 155. The sync button, usually I take this off because the sync basically means if you sync it, then your starting BPM must be 155. This is good for most cases, but not really good if you want to start in a slower BPM. So let's say you want to start at 77.5. You want to have a slow start and gradually increase it into 155. Then you should turn off sync. I usually like to leave it off. It's fine for this song, but it matters. BPM text is what you want other people to see. 155 is fine. Chart offset, this is a bit complicated. This is to adjust the offset between the music and your chart. So if they don't match, you change the offset. More to come on this later. Judge density, leave it as 1. This is perfectly fine. Preview segment is the part of the music you want the players to hear on their menu screen when they select the song. Chart constant is the difficulty of your chart. Usually I don't put this in right away. I just put a rough difficulty here. I do the chart, and then after I've done the chart, now let's come back and give it a constant. Search text doesn't matter. Audio is, you can change it anytime. You can change your jack jar as well. You can also change your background. There is an optional video background. You can play around with it, see how it goes. I personally never used it, so can't give too much advice on that. Then comes the skins. There are only really 2 things you gotta care about, and one of them is the side. Choose the light side, conflict side, or colorless side. This is what they look like. Everything else, let it inherit, except for the track. The track can change it. It doesn't have to be the side you've selected, on the side you've selected, because Ray is also kind of appropriate in a light side song, right? Everything else, just let it inherit, don't touch the art colors, and that's pretty much it for the project tab. So as you can see, it's not very complicated, but it's really important that you make this, you set this well before you start the chart. And then you can go ahead and we'll talk about some charting techniques. First, look left to the Toolbox tab. You have all these things: tab, hold, sky, arc, trace, and idle. Idle is you're not doing anything. We'll look at all the 5 of those in order. First is tab. If you click on tab, you're gonna be prompted with a blue projection. That's basically where the tab is going to be created. Once you click your mouse button, click a few times, you can see you've made some tabs, right? But how do I know if this makes any musical sense? How do I know if I'm putting the tabs on the beat, or I'm placing off beats, or just randomly anywhere? Well, it's really hard to eye it, right? To eyeball measure the distance between each tab by your eyeball is quite a tough task. So that's why we have something called the grid to help us. On the left, you can see there's a show grid. Click on that, you have the grid show. I'll just explain what each line means, what each color means. A dark blue line signals the start of a bar. And in fact, if you hide grid, it's still there. It's kind of there because it's just so important. A light blue signals the start of a beat. A green signals a offbeat. An offbeat. Offbeat is basically a beat, but then an eighth after that. And the orange are 16th. So now if you go back to tab, you place 2 notes like that, you know that you're playing 2/16. Well, 2/16, because the interval between them is a 16th note. For one here, then you're saying that, okay, I'm playing a 16th note here, I'm playing an 8th note here, and well, actually, I'm playing a 16th here, 16th here, and an 8th and a 16th rest on this green line, and one more 16th on the orange line, right? That's what it means. To delete them, simply click on them, Once they're red, that means they're selected. Press delete and they are gone. Great. Next, let's look at something a bit more interesting, the hold. Once you click the hold, there's going to be a blue projection as always, same thing. Click on somewhere, but then you see it's not ended yet. It's showing another projection, and that's because the first click only determines where you are starting the hold. You also have to determine where the hold ends. Let's say I put it here. Okay, now we have a hold that lasts for 1 beat. You can make another hold that lasts for a bit shorter, or another hold that lasts for a bit longer, all up to you. Let's delete them, and let's look at the third thing, which gets interesting, sky. Sky is kind of bonded with trace, so let's look at trace first. Okay. First of all, click somewhere. Oh, something new. You have a green trapezoid. Okay, so the green trapezoid, basically this entire grid is requiring you to make a second click. So the first click, you basically selected the blue line as the starting time of your trace. Now the system is asking you, where do you want the trace to start? The blue trapezoid is basically telling you, okay, as a beginner, you probably should place your trace within the green trapezoid because this is a boundary. Outside here, let's say on the top left corner, you kind of can't hit nodes if you place arc tabs over here. It's kind of like for a guidance. You can follow it, you can not follow it, doesn't matter. Let's say I put it here. Now you've determined when you start the trace and where you started the trace. Now it's requiring you to click a third time. The third click tells the program where to end the trace. Sorry, when to end the trace. And a fourth click tells the program where to end the trace. Sorry, let me just switch up this. Don't mind this. So now you've created a trace. It just goes straight. It's very boring, nothing happens. Let's create one that's more interesting, like that. Now, how to use the sky? You click on the trace, and then it's gonna show a blue projection on where your arc tab is gonna be. Notice that once you click, you kind of just selected when you want your arc tab to be, but you haven't selected where. Well, the where is already determined for you. It's where the trace is at this point in time. So that's, like I said, an arc tab relies on traces. So it's gonna be bound to a trace. There's no other places where it can be. But that also means you kind of have to plan ahead where your trace are gonna go, right? If you want your arc tab to go in a certain position. What if I just want an arc tab to go anywhere? I just don't want to be bonded by the trace. Well, sure, there's another way to do it. And that is, just click on sky and do not select a trace. If you do not select a trace, nothing will show. And right now, all you need to do is to click somewhere, and it's going to show the green trapezoid with a projection of the arc tab. Now, the first click is selecting when the arc tab is going to be. The second click, you can select where it is. Well, great. If you can do it this way, why would anyone do it that way? This old-fashioned, very, very weird way. Well, that's for an aesthetic purpose, for it to look nice. And also, this arc tab is not completely free from trace in any way. If you look at the bottom right corner, there's a select parent arc. Click on that. Oh, you see that the parent arc is selected. So that means this arc tab resides on an arc, a trace, which begins at 1742 and ends at 1743, which is 1 millisecond. The trace lasts for 1 millisecond. That's also kind of why you can't see it on screen. It's too tiny. But you know that it resides on a trace and relies on it. Next, on the tab, arcs. Same as trace, first click to determine when you want to start it. Second click is where you start it. Third click is when to end it. And fourth click is where to end it. Now, yeah, granted, you've seen the arcs, everything here. Well, in ArcCreate, arcs aren't just straight, right? It becomes curvy and does all of that. Well then, if you want to make a curvy arc, you have to use this 3D model. This 3D model kind of looks like a 3D model. Click on it and it expands into 8 more 3D models. There's B and S, which are the two very special ones. And then for the more typical ones, they're SI, SO, SISI, SOSO, SISO, and SOSI. So SI stands for sign in, basically means curve in. SO stands for sign out, which is basically interpreted as curve out. S stands for straight, which is just the basic straight arc you see here. Let's look at an SI arc. Click somewhere, click somewhere, click somewhere, click somewhere. Okay, we've made an SI arc. Okay, so if you look at the shadow it casts, the shadow basically shows how it moves in the X direction. Well, it moves at a constant speed, right? But here it's not, it's bent. So SI means you are bending in faster. SO means you are bending in slower. And as you can see, it looks exactly like that. Then what's the use of the last 4? Well, the extra word at the end is meaningful. So far, you've seen the arc bending faster in the x-axis, but in the y-axis, it's still straight. You see that? So let's just kind of do a trace here. It starts at 1. This is kind of about like, so this is where it is actually in this point of time. It's kind of like a 4/3 way up. This is halfway, and this is 3/4 way down, and this is 0. So the y still moves down at a constant speed. And to change that, we need the second word. SISI basically means, oh, now not only X is going sign in, Y is also going sign in. It's going down a lot faster if you compare these two arcs. Kind of can tell. SOSO, it's the same thing. I won't show SOSI and SISO, but general rule of thumb is that the first word describes how the arc moves in the X direction, and the second word describes how the arc moves in a Y direction. So SISI is X is sign in, Y is sign in. So SISO would be X sign in, Y sign out. SOSI would be let's just kind of look at it. Sorry, this is SOSI. Yes. So this is SISO actually. So X going X going SI and Y going SO. Then comes the very special one called B. This is basically means do something that looks like that. Think of it this way. You're splitting the arc midway. The first half is SOSO and the second half is SISI. That's what B is, essentially. After knowing the arc shapes, you can also change the arc color to red. You can also do a red arc like that. That works, right? So that's basically pretty much it for the basic tools. Now you've learned to do everything. Let's just do a quick recap of what we've done. In this video, you first learned about how to open a new project with ArcCreate. Then I've taught you how to manage your settings within the Project tab, which includes inputting the title and the composer for the soundtrack, setting a difficulty for your song, setting a BPM for your song, and also choosing a skin that you would like to use throughout the chart. Then we've familiarized ourselves with the Toolbox. I've taught you how to use tap, hold, arc tab, and traces. I've also shown you how to hide and show the grid to assist you in your timing, and then I've taught you the various arc shapes and also how to change arc color. Next time, we'll be looking deeper into how to change the properties of an existing object and also how to use the Event tab. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.